Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how to do the various hand stitching stitches that are on the hand stitching worksheet. The first one, the overcast stitch, if we read the directions, it says we're going to poke up from the back of the fabric or the paper through the first hole and then bring the thread over the top of the fabric paper and poke the needle tip up through the second hole and repeat. Your needle will always be poking up through the back of the fabric. Okay, I've done a couple of those for you. To get prepared, you need to thread your needle just like you did when you were sewing your buttons. So we're going to use a double strand of thread. So stick your thread through the eye of the needle and then tie a knot. Remember, the knot goes at the end of the thread, not by the needle. Okay, so I have started this one, and basically we're always coming up from the back. So I'll get my hands out of the way here. I'm going to stick the needle through the dot. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it through. Okay, and if you can see, I'm beginning a pattern. The thread is going over the top of the paper. So then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to wrap the thread across the top. I'm going to stick it through the next hole and pull it. And I'm going to continue until I get all the way to the end. Okay, you always want to try to stop on the back side of the paper. And then you're going to tie a knot off on the back side and start the next one. Okay, number 2 says it's a running stitch, and it says we're going to poke up from the back of the fabric, poke down into the fabric 1/4 of an inch away from where you came up through, poke back down. Okay, you will create a dotted line across the fabric. Okay, so I've already got a needle threaded for you to show you. So I'm going to start with this first dot. I'm going to go through from the back. I'm going to pull it through. Then I'm going to go back down the second dot. Pull it through. Okay, then we're going to go again, the third one. Pull it through. Then back to the fourth one. Continuing until I get all the way to the end of the paper. Okay. Number 3 has 2 dots on each side of the paper. And basically what you need to do is you need to take a pencil, marker, ink pen, something, and create more dots in between those 2. And you're going to repeat a row of the running stitch like you just did for number 2. So the next one is the back stitch. And we're going to start out just like we did with the running stitch. So it says it starts like a running stitch. We poke up from the back of the fabric, poke down into the fabric on the second one. So here's the first dot. I'm going to poke up through. Oh, whoops, I'm starting on the wrong row. Okay, so here we are. Okay. Oh, don't have a knot. Okay, so we're poking from the back side. And then from the front to the back, we're going to go through that second dot. Pull it. And so the first 2 dots, just technical difficulties here with the knot. Okay, so up from the back, down the second one. Okay, we're going to come back up the third one. So we're still creating a running stitch. Now we're going to start the back stitch. Okay, and I'm going to go backwards. I came up through dot number 3. I'm going to go back to dot number 2. Okay, now when I come up to the front of the page, I'm skipping to dot number 4, pulling it through, then I'm going to go back to dot number 3. Okay, continue that to the end of the page. Okay, number 5 is also going to be a back stitch, so you need to also mark some more dots between the 2 that are there and create another line of the back stitch. Okay, the final one is a hemming stitch. So to prepare for that, we have 2 rows of dots, and we have a line through the middle of the dots. We're going to fold our paper under on that line. So we should see 1 row of dots on the front, and we got a row of dots on the back. Okay, so we're always starting from the back. We're going to go through both thicknesses of paper. Okay, so these dots should not be on top of each other. Okay. So we're starting with the top row of dots. Okay. My needle's too big and it's pulling my thread, making too big a hole, and it's pulling the thread through. So top row of dots. Okay, pull it through. Okay, now I'm going to go take my thread so it goes over that, and I'm going to find the dots on the row on the underneath side. Okay, and I'm going to come through it. Okay, so we've got this, and then we're going to go back down the top row, and then from the underneath side we're coming the next dot and going back down in the top. Okay, this first stitch looks a little different than the second one, but we had to get it started, so they should look very similar to this. And this would be what it would look like if you were actually hemming something like a pair of pants or something. This is the stitch that you would see. And you would make real tiny little stitches so that you couldn't see it on the right side of the fabric. So do that to the edge. So if you have any questions, I know it's kind of complicated and maybe hard for you to see, please just shoot me an email and I'll see if I can work you through it. So good luck.